Hello and welcome to Comic Book Yeti's Cryptid Creator Corner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jimmy Gasparo, and I'm really excited about today's guest. We're going to be talking about something a little different than the norm in terms of the comic book creator interviews, but I'm really excited about this one. This guest has written uh, several books where he has taken Star Wars movies and basically reinvented them as if they were written by William Shakespeare. The most recent one is The Mandalorian of Nevarro, but all 9 films are in books in, you know, as if they were written by Shakespeare. This is like a wonderful idea. I can't get enough of it. And the books themselves, uh, podcast guests, listeners, you can't see this, but they're absolutely gorgeous. But we're gonna talk all about it. I'm so excited. Please welcome to the podcast, Ian Doescher. Uh, Ian, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, no, thank you for coming on because I'm a big I'm a big Shakespeare fan. I love seeing Shakespeare. I've read not, all of his plays, but quite a number of them. And I'm a big Star Wars fan. And I just was not aware of this. I think you've been writing these since at least 2012. But you did the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels, and now I guess this is the 10th book of these that you have done. I know I think you did some, um, other books covering some other things which we could talk about, but, um, yeah, The Mandalorian of Nevarro, this is the first time you're, basically adapting an 8 episode television series rather than a 2 or 2.5 hour movie. And it's absolutely wonderful. I said it earlier, but we usually would put these on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the book. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, Ian has his copy. The other thing is there are also throughout this, there are some wonderful illustrations by Dennis Prisgata. Um, and because one of the things I was wondering and thinking about, like, oh, like before I started reading it was, is this just, going to be interpreting the show through the lens of a Shakespeare play? Because I hadn't read any of the other books, but it really is done as if it is also staged. Because if you can see, I mean, look at this wonderful drawing, this wonderful illustration by Dennis of an ATST. It's wooden, and it's you can see it's being flown in from from the rafters at the Globe. Just tremendous stuff. But I I guess I wanna start with, like, how did this project even come about from the very beginning?
So the original series came about. It was 2012. You're right. You got that right on. And what happened was that I watched the original Star Wars trilogy with some high school buddies of mine. Movies that I grew up with and that I've been watching forever, but I hadn't seen them for a while. I hadn't seen them probably for a decade at that point. So we watched the trilogy one Saturday, and then not too long afterward, I read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is one of the first really popular mashup books that was around. And then just after finishing that book, my family and I went to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. I'm over in Portland, and so we went down to Ashland and saw some plays there. And it was at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival where I had this idea. I was like, it would be really fun to take Star Wars and rewrite it as a play by Shakespeare. And so that was the genesis of the idea. And from there it was kind of dumb luck because I wrote to an editor at Quirk Books, who they're the ones who had done Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and he responded and was encouraging and said, if you write something, let me know and I'll take a look at it. And so I wrote the first act, the first 1/5, basically, of the original A New Hope movie into Shakespeare. And uh, he called me when I sent it to him, and he said, "Okay, I really want to do this, and now we need to go to Lucasfilm for licensing." And we did that and sort of off to the races. And the first book came out just under a year from when I first had the idea, which for publishing is pretty darn fast.
Yeah, that is, especially I would think for a project like this. So what is your background in terms of, you know, Shakespeare?
Just a fan from forever ago. So when I was in 8th grade, my brother was a senior in high school, and he was doing Hamlet in his senior English class. And I think I bought a copy of Hamlet back then because I wanted to be like my big brother,
Mhm.
but
Sure.
didn't really read it. It wasn't until my freshman year of high school when we started doing Othello in my English class then that I think I was really captured by the story. In Othello, I really loved Iago as a villain,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and the language, yeah,
He's my
as a
favorite villain. Yeah.
totally right. And as somebody who grew up with like Dr. Seuss and stuff like that, I loved the feeling of verse and meter and all that stuff. And so I always say I was sort of one of the lucky ones where Shakespeare came pretty naturally to me, um, and uh, and so just then went on to read, all of his plays, and it was the time that Kenneth Branagh was coming out with these great Shakespearean adaptation movies, and so it was just a really good time to be a young person getting into Shakespeare.
Wow. Have you ever performed any Shakespeare? Have you done any acting?
Only barely. I was a theater kid back in the day. I didn't do
All
any
right.
any Shakespeare in high school or anything, but had a little role in a production of The Tempest a few years back.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. And how was that experience for you?
Really fun, really fun. Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, there's a local theater here. Well, I'm in Delaware now. There's a little area in Delaware called Arden. Um, and Arden, Delaware started probably over 100 years ago as like I think an artist commune. It's like its own little community, but they have a Shakespeare guild, and every year they do they do a Shakespeare play, and they have a guild hall, which is a big barn. But then they will also do it outside. They have like an outdoor theater, and they've been doing it for years and years. And it's probably 12 years ago at this point, maybe around 2004. They did Othello. And I would have loved to have played Iago. I think I was a little young. The guy who played Iago was tremendous, but I got the part of Cassio.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, it was it was real fun. um, uh, and I had a really good time doing it. So that was great. I think that that's really the only experience I had performing in it, but have always been a fan and always loved different adaptations and interpretations of Shakespeare. So but just being a fan though, when you're thinking about adapting Star Wars, like there's so many things I think you have to think about because you're not just taking the screenplay or the story, you have to figure out how it fits within an actual play with, scene breaks and those types of things. You have to take the language and kind of put the language not only into what it would have been like in Shakespeare day, but yeah, you have to do it in, you know, iambic pentameter and think about those things. So can you kind of take me through like did that process come easy to you at all? Were there any points that you found were more difficult or characters that were more difficult to kind of adapt into, that pattern of talking?
I mean, there were getting used to iambic pentameter at the start. I mean, I'm the kind of nerd who over the years had tried my hand at iambic pentameter and other types of verse, and so it wasn't totally new to me writing an iambic pentameter, but doing that much was certainly new. And what I realized is it's really like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and it becomes much more easy. And so these days, writing an iambic pentameter is so much easier than it was in those first days of writing that first book. Um, and I would say, the challenging parts are a couple of things, right? First of all, it's like when you get to a moment in Star Wars that is famous for some reason, it's like, okay, I really better handle this well because this is the part that people are gonna, in the bookstore, they're gonna like turn the pages to see how did he handle, how did he handle Han and Greedo, right? And so
Oh,
something
yeah.
like that. And so, um, so those I think were some of the trickier parts. And then as the series went on, figuring out what to do with how to do some special things with different characters. So when I got to the second book and I was doing The Empire Striketh Back, and all of a sudden here's Yoda, right? And when the first book came out, I saw people sort of joking like, "Oh, everybody sounds like Yoda now," because the nature of iambic pentameter is
Wow.
you're messing with word order some and things like that. So I knew I had to do something extra special with Yoda, right? And then it's like, well, what is that extra special thing going to be? And so I ended up writing all of his lines in haiku. And so, which is not Shakespearean at all, but was sort of very much in keeping with these books. It's things like that that have been challenges along the way.
That's I love that though. I mean, to kind of break the mold a little bit, for a character like Yoda. And haiku, I think, is a very interesting, way to do it. I think for the Mandalorian of Nevarro, even though Grogu doesn't really speak, um, I noticed that you did like short, long, short, kind of for like the noises that Baby Yoda makes or
Exactly.
Grogu.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
basically, as a creature of the same race as Yoda, I was like, well, he's got to mimic that haiku, pattern in some way. And so, yeah, has those short, long, short lines. Yep.
Yeah. Um, And so, was there any particular, challenge with The Mandalorian of Nevarro? Because, like, thinking of it, and I didn't get a chance to rewatch the first season, but I did watch it, and I don't remember The Mandalorian really talking a whole bunch. And the thing about Shakespeare, and like with a play, and for listeners, if you've never seen a Shakespeare play, go see one. If you're not sure what show to see, let Ian or I know. We'll help you out. We'll we'll point you in the direction of a good one. Midsummer is always a good place to start. Um, I think it's a fun one.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. Romeo and Juliet, Othello. I mean, those
Yeah,
are, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um, oh yeah, but uh, with a play, uh, because there is so much of like a character coming in, and rather than the action, like they will describe the action, so you kind of have to like pick those moments. Um, with a character that is, like, fairly silent, was there any point when you were, like, putting it together when you were like, "Oh, maybe I should have started with one of the side movies that there's more talking," because
Well,
you really
yeah.
have
I
to
mean,
do a good job with that, and I really think you did, but I would think there would have to come a point where it's like, we're really doing a lot of, Mando enters and kind of just, expounds.
right. He definitely has way more dialogue in my books than he does in the show, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of can't get around that, I think, because I mean, one of the things I used to say all the time is like Shakespeare would never have Luke Skywalker staring out at the two sons of Tatooine silently, right? In the movie, he's just sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
Shakespeare would have you tell, he would be talking about exactly what he's feeling in that moment and telling the audience, and so that's just the nature of the Shakespearean format is characters are going to talk more and, like you said, describe the action that's going on and talk about what
Yeah.
they're feeling. And so even with Mando, yeah, he's got a lot more to say.
Oh, yeah, definitely, but, I found it all, like, very, I don't know, it's very interesting, and it's very fun, it reads it really well, it to me, it just seems like, uh I mean, it's one thing to write something, but to take something like this, I guess to me, it seems so daunting, and you make it seem so easy. Like, reading the book, it is, really brilliant. Um,
Thank you so
how
much.
it's done. Do you mind if I wanted to read something because I wanted to kinda give the listeners of the podcast a chance to like hear what this is like. Do you mind it
Yeah.
if I if I do that? So listeners, I don't really do this because we talk a lot about comic books, but so uh this is the end of scene 6 of act 1. So just for fans of the television series, it's where, Mando discovers what the asset is. And I just want you to listen to this is the type of thing that Ian wrote to kind of adapt this story, and which I think is just brilliant. So if you'll indulge me for a second, listeners. So the scene is Mando has, found the asset. He says, "An unexpected quarry, verily, beyond all expectation or surmise. I could no more destroy this innocent than harm myself, for something in it speaks unto the deepest fathoms of my soul. Ne'er hath a target targeted my heart, ne'er hath my prey so preyed upon my mind. I am a bounty hunter, and shall prove as faithful to my calling as I ought, yet to fulfill this duty brings no joy. The treasure I believed I would obtain is not the selfsame treasure I have found. Reward I sought, but did not seek award. No riches I have found, but foundling rich in seeming purity and innocence. Keep thou thy senses, Mandalorian. Thou hast a client who hath thee employed. Thou hast a clear objective to achieve. Yet to the act am I unreconciled. The asset, nay, herein I find the child." I mean, that gives me chills reading that. And some of the things that, like, when you think about, like, how Shakespeare wrote and how, like, so clever the wordplay is for his day and time, because he was writing for the people that would go see him play, but he's also writing for the, like, the groundlings, the people that, like, the common folk that also came to see the plays, but you have a wonderful, play on words in here with, "Reward I sought, but did not seek award. No riches I have found, but foundling rich." Like, it is I was, like, kind of blown away. Um, I mean, it that just I got to that part in the book, and I think I read that, like, 3 or 4 times in a row. I just it was really, really good. Like, what's kind of
Thank you.
your like, writing background in? Did you go to, like, school or college for it? What did you, like, because this just seems like on, another level, like, than a casual Shakespeare fan.
I mean, I didn't go to school for this. I was a music major in college, and then I went on to study theology in graduate school. So I've been all over the place academically. But I will say that when I first told friends back in 2012, right, that hey, I've just had this book thing happen, and it's going to be Shakespeare Star Wars. Like everybody who knew me was like, "Oh, of course, that's what you're doing, right?" Because
That's
I was the nerd who, when we had to memorize a speech from Macbeth for English class my junior year, like brought a fake sword to school to like perform it with the speech, right? Like I was that guy, right? So
yeah.
nobody was surprised to hear that I was doing this sort of thing. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, that is a little bit all over the place. Music, theology, and writing these. Yeah. So, are there any specifically, or I mean, you can bring up any of the other books. I'm just kind of curious, as a fan of Star Wars as well. We talked a little bit about like some of the trickier aspects of it, but and oh, I got to get this scene right. But was there anything that you were really looking forward to? Like, was there anything that really stuck out to you where you're like, oh, this is kind of perfect for what I'm doing, and this is going to come across great, and you know, it was as much fun as you thought it would be when you got to that particular scene.
One of the Lucasfilm in their wisdom, I would say, right? Like when I first when I wrote that first draft that I sent to the editor, I stayed very close to the original script. I mean, I was in Iambic pentameter and Shakespearean language, but I was not doing a lot of my own adding in things, because I thought of George Lucas, as I think we all kind of do, as somebody who's very protective of his own material, right? And so I was like, I don't want to Like, I want this to just, be something they're going to be okay with. And essentially,
Yeah.
their initial feedback was, we like the concept. We want to see if you can have more fun with it. Like, can you actually like do more with this? Go ahead and sort of take it outside the bounds. And that freedom has made the projects so much more fun than I think it would have been otherwise. I think it would have been much more like a almost like a translation project, which in some ways it still is. But now I get
Yeah.
to do all this additional stuff, right? Like writing a soliloquy for Mando when he
Yeah.
encounters the child, right? And one of the first things I tried when I was writing the first book was there's the scene once the Millennium Falcon is pulled into the Death Star by the tractor beam, and Han and Luke are all hiding in the sort of thing compartments below the floor.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
there are
like the
these two
cargo hold.
stormtroopers who are standing guard outside the Millennium Falcon, and they get called inside and then killed, right? And I gave them dialogue. I gave them a conversation where one of them basically was like, don't you think that maybe like it's weird that this empty ship showed up here? And isn't it possible that there are like people hiding inside? And his
Right.
friend is like, dude, do you think you really know better than Darth Vader and Governor Tarkin and things like that? Like, just calm down. Everything's gonna be fine. Right. And then they get called inside and they get killed. And and that was like as I was writing it, like I was just like little geek Star Wars fan was like so excited, like, oh, this is so fun. And I really hope they let me keep it, and they did let me keep it, and that started a tradition in act 4 of every one of these books, including the new one, right, where there's this dialogue that does not exist at all in the movies or the shows, and it's kind of poking fun at Star Wars a little bit, right?
Yeah.
um
Well, that's
and and so like it's those kind of things that have been so fun to do, and that I think is also what readers like more, more than just rereading the traditional plot that they know already. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun for me. And
no, that's
basically at this
awesome.
point, there's nothing that I won't try. I know they can always tell me no. They can always say no, that's too much, right? And they
Yeah.
have a couple of times. But most of the time they're just like, this is fun.
Oh, that's so cool. You have, like, your own, now you have your own, like, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead
Right.
within your own little universe of Star Wars
A
books.
100%. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, uh, one of the other things that I thought was interesting, as to how you handled it, and I really thought it added something very unique and interesting to the story, in the I think this is still in the first act of The Mandalorian where, like, his ship is attacked by the creature and, like, but then further on, like, you have some of the creatures, like, talk, um, which I thought was, like, very interesting, and, I liked how you do it because they're always at least the ones I read, they're always more of like a rhyming scheme, in terms of how you lay it out. What was kind of your thought process behind doing that?
Yeah, I think part of it is that it's fun that it's kind of unexpected, right? I mean,
Sure.
in Star Wars, I'm not sure there are any creatures that ever actually speak in Star Wars, right? And so, uh, I think the first time I did that was in The Empire Strikes Back with, uh, the Wampa, and part of it was just like, oh, this will be fun, right? People won't expect this to be, to happen. And so
Yeah.
and so then also to and then it kind of adds to the ridiculousness of it when a creature is talking in rhyme and is almost kind of like jaunty and happy, and it's like it's a sort of a cognitive dissonance, I think, but in a way that is fun, I hope, for people who
Yeah.
are reading it.
Yeah, I thought I definitely thought it was unexpected, and, I enjoyed it. I thought it was, an interesting kind of aspect of it, because, even if you thought of it as it's not happening, like, literally, it could be, but you're kinda giving some interior monologue to these to these creatures. And yeah, I found it very interesting. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Thanks. A few years ago, my editor at Quirk Books, he and I pitched a William Shakespeare's Jurassic Park to to the movie makers and the Michael Crichton estate, and they did not like the idea of talking dinosaurs. So it's not for everyone. I'll admit that it's not for everyone. Uh,
Uh, I mean, I think that would be for me. I would like to see that. I would like to see how that would go. But yeah, I guess talking dinosaurs aren't for everyone.
right.
Um, uh, so to talk a little bit more about kind of some of the challenges of the Mandalorian of Navarro, and I mentioned you've done the movies before, and now this is like an 8 episode series, and I think the prisoner and or the gunslinger and the prisoner in here are kind of more of like Mando relating those events. So, what were the kind of the how did you go about breaking it down into an 8 episode show into a 5 act structure?
Yeah, that was definitely the biggest challenge of this one because just like you said, right? The others are about the length. I mean, those movies are about the length of a Shakespeare play, roughly, right? So a
Yeah,
much more
and
reasonable length, and as
sure.
opposed to an 8 episode series, and uh, so the first thing I did was watch the series through and outline, okay, how is this going to go in a 5 act structure? And as you said, right, this is what I did was take that don't a couple of the episodes that don't actually contribute to the overall arc of what's happening in season one, and have those told as Mando is sort of recounting his adventures to Cara Dune, as opposed to actually writing them out as their own scenes, and that helped keep it a more manageable length. I think it still is one of my longer, if not the longest adaptation of mine, just because of how much material there is to cover.
Yeah.
But that at least I think kept it a little bit more manageable. Yeah.
Yeah, and that does seem like it would be, it does seem to me like it would be more difficult to take, an 8 episode show and put it into fit it into a 5 act structure than to, take a movie that's typically written in a 3 act structure and just figure out 2 other break points, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it that does seem, like particularly a unique challenge. But yeah, I was really surprised just how well it all, flowed together. I also love this is like such a nerdy theater kid thing, but I loved all the stage directions in the book too. I mean, I don't know, I just got such a kick out of it. I was like, "Oh yeah, of course, there's gonna be like stage directions. It's just like a play." And
Yeah,
yeah,
I will say that I definitely have way more stage directions than a Shakespearean play would, which is sort of the nature of writing what is essentially an action series, into
yeah.
a play. But yeah, hopefully it's fun. I really do try to imagine, um, like, what would this look like if it were actually being staged, and how where would you actually put people, and sometimes you have to kind of stretch your imagination to really see this happening on a stage, but I do try to keep that in mind as much as possible.
Mhm. What has been your well, not necessarily your favorite, but what one of yours do you think, um, in terms of the movies, yeah, or even this one, The Mandalorian of Nevarro, and kind of uh, creating these books that you have done. What one do you think really is there anyone in particular that you think you like uniquely captured both the like fun and adventure of the movie and kind of the spirit or gravitas of a Shakespeare play?
That's a good question, and it's so hard to say. there's when I was growing up, because I was 6 years old when it came out, the Return of the Jedi was my favorite, right? And so
Yeah.
like, writing that one was sort of extra fun for me. Would I say that it was necessarily the one that captures, I don't know. That, in some ways, I guess I'd want to say uh the tragedy of the Sith's revenge. Be just because there you get to see the fall of Anakin, which is
Right.
so Shakespearean, right?
Well, that's what I was gonna say, and I haven't like I said, I'm gonna buy all of these and read them all because I love this one so much, but to me, out of when I think of Shakespeare and, like, Shakespeare's tragedies, yeah, that one to me seems like it would lend itself the best to, um, yeah, to a Shakespearean tragedy. Yeah, the rise and then fall
Yeah.
of Anakin is perfect.
Yeah, I mean, really episodes 1 through 6 are like almost like a classical tragedy, right? In terms of the
Sure.
rise and fall and everything. So, uh, yeah, yeah. I think there's probably a lot of that extra Shakespearean feeling in that one.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Um, eh So, have you do you have to, like, revisit the movies, like, every time you've written one of these? Like, do you start by, like, watching them over again? Like, do you get a like, get a script and look at a script at all, or are you just going by the movie?
So the the answer sort of differs by which ones we're talking about. So the original trilogy, those scripts are all, you can find them online. So that was easy enough to do. The By the time of the prequels, those scripts are also online, and I was also, I think, probably starting to use the captions, closed captioning, on like Disney Plus and things like that, right? Which helps a
Sure.
lot. The trickiest ones were the sequel series, because I wrote those basically within about a month of the movies actually coming out, and I was not given a script. I wish I had been. That would have been cool. Uh, I literally, I mean, this is not like something I'm proud of, and certainly was not something Lucasfilm suggested that I do. But I would literally go into the theater and see the movies, and uh, record the movie on my cell phone as I was watching it, so that I would be able to refer, like, go back. Like, I needed something to refer to be able to write these books. And
Yeah.
those were also the ones where the DK visual dictionaries that come out. I bought those as well for those movies, so that I could look up, okay, what's this character's name? What is this weapon called? Those sorts of
Yeah.
details. Um, and then with Mando, again, was back to being able to use closed captioning and things like that. So my
Yeah.
process is basically, to answer your first question, right? Is like, I usually will just watch the whole thing, just to remind myself, okay, where are we? What's going on? And certainly with the Mandalorian, there was also that process of outlining, and then it's really just like, okay, watch a few seconds at a time, see, like, okay, what dialogue is going on here? How are we going to render that in Iambic pentameter? Is there a chance to do something fun with it? Should there be an aside or a soliloquy or something like that? Or as time has gone on, I've put various restrictions on myself with various characters. Like uh, Mace Windu always referenced the title of a Samuel L. Jackson movie in his lines. So it was things like that, right, where I would like impose these conditions on myself, right? So those were things to keep in mind as the things went on. So uh,
Oh my gosh. I
yeah.
need to read all of these right away. That's that's see,
It's been I've
that
I've
stuff.
never wanted, I mean, there are readers, of course, who there have been readers who've been with me since the first book, right? And I never want them
Yeah.
to feel like there's nothing new for them, right? I always want there to be something that feels like it's new.
Well, I just love the poetry, of the language, and I kinda love seeing the interpretation. Like, I do like that look, it's almost a translation, right? I like that aspect of it. I love reading it, I love saying it out loud, I love hearing it, um, but yeah, those things, like, that's some real fun nerd stuff, like, doing
Yeah.
things like that. Um, well, I read, I think, in the in the afterword even of this, like you um you didn't you put in here that with Mando, you didn't realize it or maybe didn't intend to do it at first, but then you started doing it intentionally that like um his lines never end on an unstressed syllable, and you continued that throughout them. Which so that's just another challenge. You're just giving yourself more
Right, right.
challenges,
It's just
Ian.
one more limitation to remember, yeah. Yeah, it was just sort of a fluke. But then I was like, well, I guess Mando's just always going to have a full 10 syllables and only 10 syllables as opposed to that extra 11th that Shakespeare sometimes does.
Ugh,
Yeah.
and I also noticed, in my reading of it that you do, will sometimes work in references, little Easter eggs, if you will, to, famous lines of Shakespeare plays. So I know in this one, the lark and the nightingale came up, and there was another one that I remember that sparked my memory right away in terms of a Shakespeare play, and I can't remember what one it was, but I know there were a couple in here that I came across. So I guess that's another thing that you have gone and done and embedded some Shakespeare lines into work them into these books, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I try to do that for I mean, it obviously if you have no knowledge of Shakespeare at all, you should be able to come to these books and read them and not have a problem, right? But for people who do
Yeah,
know Shakespeare, right, there's that extra eh, little added extra level of like, oh, hey, okay, I see that line there. I got it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It just really, you really well done. Um, You know,
Thanks.
and I
Thank
I
you.
think that was in one of the scenes between Mando and, what's the character's name? Omera?
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, and you did another Shakespeare thing where they would sometimes kind of, like, finish each other's couplets, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they have a lot of lines that are split between the 2 of them. So one of them will start a line of Iambic pentameter, and the other one will pick it up and finish it. And
Yeah, I guess it's not
yeah,
really a couplet, but
yeah, and so yeah, I did that because I think I say this in the afterword, right? Like, there's never there's never any explicit romance. I mean, we never see them like kiss in the show or anything like that. But it's suggested that that's kind of what's going on, and so I was trying to
yeah,
sort of hint at like, yeah, they've got a connection there.
yeah, yeah, just re really, I'm just kinda giddy. Is really, really, well done. I haven't been on stage, I haven't done a play in 15 years, but definitely made me wish I could still, still go out and do some Shakespeare. Because other than Othello, oh, you know what? I did Much Ado as well. Years later, I did
Nice.
Much Ado. Yeah,
Who are
I
you?
was
Who are you in Much Ado?
Claudio.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Look at you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
So
are
I got
two good parts.
one comedy, one tragedy under my belt.
Yeah. And you're like, I'll only play characters whose names start with C and end in O. That's all
Yeah,
I'll do.
that's it.
Yeah. Yep.
Cassio, Claudio.
Yep.
So if there, I'll have to see if there what other characters there are that fit that
Yeah.
that bill for maybe come out of retirement and do another Shakespeare play. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about a little bit if we could because when I was getting ready for the interview, I saw that you had done some you know uh other types of books as well in terms of the Shakespeare, which I thought listeners might be interested in. So did you do was there a Deadpool one?
Yeah. So that's the one comic book that I ever got to write for. So I got an email totally out of the blue from uh, an editor at Marvel, and it said, I'm interested in a project. Let me know if you want to talk about it. And that's one of those ones where you like call back immediately. You're like, yes, I very much want to talk about this. And they were planning to do an extra large, edition of the Deadpool comic book. And basically, they had their first 20 pages, but needed the additional 60 pages. And they gave me sort of carte blanche to do what I want to do. I mean, the great thing about Deadpool is, you can write whatever the heck you want to, and basically like it's fair game. So I did a Shakespearean Deadpool, and that was a lot of fun, and not a process that I mean I'd never written for a comic book before. So just even sort of learning about the format for how you write those things and everything was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that I saw that it came out, I think, in, like, 2021, but that's fully illustrated?
Yeah. Yep. It's just a normal comic book.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I just yeah, I was looking at some of these other things, and I was just like, I wanna talk about all of them, not just the Star Wars stuff or the new book, 'cause you've a pop Shakespeare series, you
Yeah. So
Shakespearean horror trilogy, yeah, I think you self-published some of those. Yeah,
yeah.
this is
So with
fantastic.
with Quirk books, I did Back to the Future and Mean Girls and Clueless, and also the four that existed at the time, the four Avengers movies. And so those were all ones that I did with Quirk in addition to the Star Wars books. And then just kind of for fun, during the pandemic, I decided it'd be fun to do some uh horror classics. So I did Shakespearean versions of Dracula and Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and those were really fun to do. It's always different taking a book and turning it into Shakespeare than taking a movie. It feels a little weirder doing it from a book because that's already a written medium. Yeah. So, but they've been fun to do.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, even if it's, I understand, like, it's a written medium, but still, like, there's something about the language that I really love, you know? And, I think fans of Shakespeare and, but I think folks who, you know, even folks who aren't familiar with it and think that Shakespeare is just something they're going to make me read at some point in school. But, stuff like this, though, it just, I don't know. It feels very, um, it feels very fresh, very fun, and I j I love the language of it. I can't say that enough. Um, and, this could be a really fun way for someone to get into Shakespeare and then discover, Shakespeare's plays, and also because you're not just doing a translation, you are adding these other things in it. You are, um having some fun with it. Is stuff in here for, for, fans, of Star Wars, of The Mandalorian. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and that's
this is
always been
great.
sort of my hidden agenda, right? Like I always say, like, yes, just want people to enjoy these books, and that is 100% true. But also, there's always been part of me that's like I said at the start, right? I was lucky when it came to Shakespeare. I just sort of took to it, and that's not the story for most students. I think, especially in America, right? And so I always sort of hoped like maybe this is something that can help kids can sort of be a bridge into Shakespeare for kids. And I've heard from a lot of teachers who are using it in just that way, right? Where they'll read a little bit of one of my books so that they're getting a feel for the verse and for the overall structure and style and that kind of thing before they go
Yeah,
into real Shakespeare. And that's and I just love that. Like I love hearing that because you know, I don't want people to be I think there's a lot of fear when it comes to Shakespeare for students, and so if this can help at all, I'm honored.
I think that's awesome. Well, Ian, this has been an absolute delight. I'm gonna have to get all these other books and read them, but for folks on YouTube, I'm gonna show the cover here because these books are gorgeous. Um, but William Shakespeare's Star Wars: The Mandalorian of Nevarro is out now. I will put links in the show notes so that you can make sure that you order and get yourself a copy. And yeah, look, I'll put a link to Ian's website, so you can check out some of the other stuff, and you can be like me, and you can go catch up on all these Shakespearean adaptations of, some of my favorite movies of all time. All right, Ian, before I let you go, the one real Star Wars nerd question. what how do you rank the movies? What's your ranking order? Do you do you have
Ooh,
it down?
I don't. I don't have it down. Um,
Okay.
but let me try really fast. Right. Okay. So, uh, I still have such a soft spot in my heart for Return of the Jedi. Just as for the nostalgia as a kid, it's hard for me to move that one from the top. Shortly followed by Empire and A New Hope, but I've also got to put Rogue One up there among those somewhere. Just really love that. Um, After that, let's see. Uh, I think we're probably after that going. Oh boy, this is gonna make me unpopular with a lot of people. After that, we're probably gonna go Last Jedi, and then we're probably gonna go Force Awakens, and then we're probably gonna go uh, the Attack of the Clones, and then we're probably gonna go Revenge of the Sith, and then we're probably gonna go Rise of Skywalker, and then we're probably gonna go Phantom Menace. And I forgot Solo in there, so Solo's somewhere in there as well. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't even know what order I just told you, but something like that. Yeah.
No, I think that's, yeah, I think that's a pretty good order. I think, I when I was younger, I always use this, "Oh, Empire Strikes Back is my favorite," and I went and I rewatched all of them before Force Awakens came out. Like, I did, like, this, I watched the 6 movies before Force Awakens. And I was like, "Yeah, I think that's one of those things where everyone's like, oh yeah, Empire's the my favorite, Empire's the best." And I'm like, "It's cool, it's Return of the Jedi." Return of the Jedi Return of the Jedi is so much fun. What are we doing? What are we all doing saying Empire Strikes Back is the best movie? It's Return of the Jedi. I
I
don't
mean,
care if you're making
what's
fun of the
also funny,
Ewoks,
if we
and
really
their
want to
whooped
get
up
like into
song.
the weeds as geeks, right? Like really what it
Yeah.
is for me is like there are sequences within movies that are my favorites, right? So like yeah, I don't like once it hits the Ewoks, I don't care much about Return of the Jedi. But the whole opening with the Jabba scene, I just absolutely love. Same with
Yeah.
Empire. Like the opening on Hoth, I just love.
Yeah.
Right. And
It's such a great sequence.
yeah, and you can't
Yeah.
beat the Death Star sequence at the end of A New Hope, right? I mean, so, like, really what it is for me is it's like there and even in, like, Phantom Menace, right, the pod racing scene is, just for the speed of it and the adventure of it, I think is super fun. So, there are elements within all of them that I love, right? And,
Yeah, oh,
you
yeah,
know
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I really love Return of the Jedi. I mean, I do. I'm the same way. There's elements of all of them that that I really like, and well, I can't wait to revisit them all now. In Iambic Pentameter. Look at this. Look at me. I got 9 more books I get to read. So that's exciting for me. But yeah, Ian, thank you so much. This was a real pleasure to chat with you. I absolutely loved The Mandalorian of Nevarro. I thought it was so good.
Thank you
And
so much.
yeah, listeners, thank you for listening. Shout out to my brother Bobby, the Cryptid Creator Corner's #1 most dedicated fan. Bobby listens to all my episodes. I know listeners, you might be tired of hearing that, but I mean, he keeps listening. What am I gonna do?
Thank you, Bobby.
Um And see now, I Bobby's gonna get I'm gonna buy Bobby a copy of The Mandalorian of Nevarro too. He really likes when the guest says, "Hi, Bobby." So that's exciting for him. Yeah, rate, review us, do all the stuff they tell you to do about podcasts. It really helps. If you like YouTube, we've been putting a lot of these on YouTube, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yeah, let me know. Find me on Blue Sky or TikTok, or let me know what your favorite Star Wars are. Let me know if you're going to go get these books by Ian Doescher. And yeah, let's talk Star Wars. Let's talk Shakespeare. These books are awesome, and you should check them out. So thank you so much for listening. Have a good night. I'll see you next time.